one, I think this is number two in your in your assignment. Okay, so we're doing simplifying of rational expressions. Okay, so the first thing is we need to factor as always. Now notice when you factor the numerator, there is a coefficient of x squared, which is a 2, and also the denominator, which is a 3. So the first thing we need to do is to factor both the numerator and denominator. Okay. Now remember, okay, this is your solution right here. But first things first, I think you might have gotten the factors correctly. However, I would really discourage you to do it this way. This is not wrong, it's just really not a good practice. Okay, so when you do this, this factor should have been written either here, okay, just a different line of its own, and then another one here, which is probably your solution or your final answer. So just refrain from, I know you're trying to factor your numerator and you put that above the numerator, just give them a different line of its own. Okay, all right, so let's do this, the one on top. Okay, so your A is, this is your A, this is your B, that's your C, just to be reminded. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one for the numerator. If you have an A that is not equal to 1, then you put the AC in here and then the B in there. Okay, and so the AC will be 2 times 5, which is equal to 10, and then your C, I mean your B is going to be equal to 11. So we need to think of two numbers that will multiply to 10, but will add to 11. And what are those? You will have 10 and 1. Okay. So if we were going to write this, okay, this will be like a scratch work on your end. You're not really putting it as part of the solution. So I'm going to write that here. So 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So this is going to look like, okay, so this is my equation. I'm going to write x plus 10, x plus 1, and those numbers came from here, okay? But then you have that a to consider. So you multiplied AC. You need to counter divide that from here, okay? So once we divide that, okay, that will equal to x, 10 over 2 is 5, so x plus 5. Now 1 over 2 is just a fraction, so in this case you will put the 2 in front of your x. So therefore you have 2x plus 1. These two, technically this second line, I'm not going to put an equal sign there because they're not really equal to really, if you really think about it. But this one right here, the last one is equal to the first line. So these are your factors, which I think is the same way as you have written. Okay, so I'm going to put an equal sign here. I'm going to put my bar. Okay, and I will write x plus 5 and then 2x plus 1. Okay, that's how I factored it out. I did not put it on top of the 2x squared plus 11. Okay. All right, next we want to factor out the denominator using the same manner. Okay, my pen is not working for some reason. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna erase this so I have some workspace. All right, so the top one you have 3x squared plus 17x plus 10. So therefore the numbers on top will be AC, that's 30, and this is going to be 17. Two numbers that will multiply to 30 but will add to 17, that will be 15 and 2. So now I'm not going to put an equal sign because they're not technically equal. So I'm going to write x plus 15 and x plus 2. But whatever is your A, you need to divide the numbers with that number, and then that's going to be equal to 15 divided by 3 is 5, so that's going to be x plus 5. 2 over 3, you cannot really get a whole number for that, so therefore I'm going to put the 3 in front here. So 3x plus 2. So these two are the factors of the denominator, which I'm going to put here. X plus 5, 3x plus 2. Okay, so now you can see you have two denominators. So when you try to solve for the numbers that cannot be equal to x, you will use that. Okay, so at this point you can cancel the x plus 5 because this parenthesis and that parenthesis, that's multiplication. This parenthesis right here and that, they're also multiplication. There's no addition, subtraction, all multiplication. Therefore, you can cancel those. Okay, so the final answer will be 2x plus 1 over 3x plus 2, which you got right. Okay, so just a little bit of cleaning up. And then, of course, you will say that x cannot be equal to negative 5 from this one, and also it cannot also be equal to negative 2 thirds. Okay, so these are the numbers that x cannot be equal to. So this is the complete solution for this problem.